one, welcome all, welcome to another exciting episode of Tales of Citizens, right here on the Sound Strategy Network. I am Bridger, I will be your host for today, where we're talking all about Star Citizen Alpha 2.0. This is a pretty historic day in the Star Citizen slow march of progress towards release, as we are seeing the first pieces of the persistent universe. So let's talk all about that, but before we go there, let me introduce my co-hosts. I've got my good friend Gray and Calathulu here with me. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey there.
So we have been, on a bit of a hiatus, kind of waiting for this to finally come out. And then it came out a couple weeks ago, but it's still, crashing so much we couldn't really talk about it. And now it's finally officially out on the live servers, and it's crashing slightly less than it did before, and we were able to get a few hours in, so that's what we're here to talk about today. But before we go there, we always start with a section we like to call Life in the Verse, which, because it is currently December 13th, leads me to ask this question: what time on Thursday are you going to see Star Wars, Callie?
Well, I will be flying back from Salt Lake City, so no time on Thursday will I be going to see Star Wars.
You have to see it on opening day. It's a nerd rite of passage.
Only if they play it on the airplane. I mean, as much as I enjoy Star Wars, I enjoy that paycheck more.
Something tells me that's not going to be the case. What about you, Gray? Are you going to see it on opening night?
It's going to depend if anywhere actually still has tickets available.
I was surprised that there were tickets available for Thursday night, and only 3 showings were actually sold out. So I was like, okay. Huh. I thought I missed the boat.
Is it just an East Coast thing? They just don't like Star Wars over there?
It must be. Actually, no. Our theater has, I think, literally
anti-Star Wars.
6 different screens all showing Star Wars on the opening night. So that might have something to do with it.
That would do it.
Yeah, they've got 2 3D screens, an IMAX screen, and then another 4 regular screens or something ridiculous like that. So go figure. I'm guessing as it sells out, they just decide, okay, let's not run that classic, Rosebud. We're not going to show Citizen Kane tonight. It's going to be Star Wars night. All right, so what have you guys been up to? Let's start with Gray. What have you been up to the last month or so?
Well, I have been playing some Heroes of the Grind 12 Hours for a Vulture Mount.
I heard about that. I have a friend that plays that was doing the same thing while he's on the phone with me. He's just like, I'm AFKing in matches here so I can get this account up high enough level so that my referral will count. It's like, Blizzard, how did you not plug that hole exactly?
Blizzard never plugs that hole. This is something that they seem to enjoy doing to people, and that's okay. It's how their business model works. Torture. Effectively, Heroes of the Storm said if you refer 4 accounts, and you get all of those referrals to level 10, they give you a vulture. A vulture from StarCraft 1 motorbike thing that you can ride around on, which is awesome. It's one of the better mounts they've ever made. The problem is, who the hell knows 4 people who would be interested in this game and currently don't play it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's key.
So the response of basically the entire internet has been to create Smurf accounts and level them up either by AFKing in quick matches or, like us responsible people, playing versus AI. And if you play versus AI, it is a 12-hour grind to get 4 accounts to level 10.
And it's not horrible because at this point now Blizzard gets to say that their player base has quadrupled.
It's true.
Our statistics show it. We're not lying.
For everyone.
The tack that I took was just to not care enough about the Vulture mount to spend 12 hours on this, and that's worked for me so far. But your mileage may vary.
You'll eventually see a Vulture mount, and then the bug will bite you.
Oh, you're right.
And your next 3 days will be versus beginner AI.
I'm actually kicking myself. Oh God, I'm actually kicking myself for not picking up the treasure goblin mount, because I love that little thing. But I totally missed it. It was there. Exactly. See, it was great. It was great fun to just beat the crap out of it. Watch treasure fly.
I guess I'm the only one that just doesn't care that much about. I mean, I kind of liked it, but it just, I don't know. It didn't grab me the way that League of Legends did. So go figure.
It's a very different title.
It's people complain about the depth in that game, and it's a valid complaint. My thing is I don't want to sit down for a real grind with League of Legends. I like to sit down for 15, 20 minutes and get my ass handed to me.
Yeah, that's what you know what though? I have another go-to game for that called Rocket League. Where
that's a good one.
I get
I love
plenty
the
of people
soundtrack for that game.
handing
I really
stuff
do.
to me there.
The guy who's flying over you from one end to the other and back.
Yeah,
while
I'm
moving
like,
the ball
with
I'm
the
like,
Xbox
I got it,
controller
I
who
got it, I
actually
got
knows
it,
how
and
to
he's
fly.
like six car lengths above me, hitting it into our goal, and I'm like, nope, I don't got it. I would have had it if it weren't for him.
I can't block that shot. Yeah, I'm right there
It's
with
the
you.
one game where the amount of skill that you possess decreases as other people that are better than you play on the other team. It's like you look amazing until that one guy who can rocket higher than you can appears, and then you don't do anything. Like you stop contributing because he does everything before you.
He's flying right over top of your head.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
over. That's, yeah.
All right. So what else? What else you got on here, Gray? You played a 5-player diplomacy, the old school
Yes.
50s board game.
Wow.
That's right. There's a 5-player variant called the Ancient Mediterranean. And yeah, here's the map. The idea is that you have Egypt, Persia, Rome, Greece, and Carthage on this map. And the first person to 18 points wins. So I was
Standard
playing as
diplomacy
Persia.
rules then? Armies
Yeah,
bounce off of
basically.
each other unless they have a numerical advantage, and you got to team up with people and then betray them.
That's exactly it. So I basically spent most of the game absolutely destroying Egypt.
Who are you playing as?
I was
The
Persian.
Romans.
The Persians. Well,
I was
then.
Persian. So I had a sort of a handshake agreement with the Greeks after knocking them out of the Egyptian sea in all sorts of unpleasant ways. And from that point on, I just spent the rest of the game going through Africa.
That has always worked in the
form.
past. So
Yep.
let me ask you this. I don't remember. Did I talk about a game called Subterfuge on here before?
No.
It's
Not that I
got a
remember.
diplomacy feel to it. It's an iOS/Android game, and I don't know if you're familiar with an old game called Neptune's Pride. Was a diplomacy-like
bell.
game that you would play at your computer, and everything would happen in real time. So it was actually a space-themed game, and you'd be traveling from one planet to another with your, combat ships or whatever, and it would literally take 19 hours to go from here to there, and 22 hours to go from there to there.
I do remember this.
And it was the game that you had to wake up at 2 a.m. to launch an attack so that your opponent wouldn't see it coming until they woke up at 8 a.m.
God.
And it was kind of frustrating in that sense because you always had to get back to a computer as quick as possible in order to play it.
That sounds like a mild understatement.
Yeah. It had a lot of stuff going for it, but Subterfuge takes that same formula and essentially says, let's put it
Puts
on
it on
something
your
that
mobile.
exactly that's always with you, so you don't constantly have to go back and be at a computer all the time.
You just have to have your alarm wake up you and your spouse or significant other and piss them off at 2 in the morning.
To be
That
fair,
sounds like a great
to
idea.
be fair, I did never feel like I had to wake up in the middle of the night in order. I mean, if you don't play it super competitively, you should be fine. So it's this is kind of the thing that amazes me about this though.
Just so long as you or the people you're playing against don't play this super competitively, it'll be fine.
True, exactly. And actually what I did is I went on the forums and I suggested, could you, when we're setting up custom games, could we just designate a period where nothing, the game pauses from, 10 p.m. at night to 8 a.m. in the morning? Can we just do
Not a
that?
bad idea.
Because then if you're playing with people all in the same time zone, you can all agree, okay, this period of time, we're all agreeing to have nothing happen in the game, so that game, literally, the time doesn't advance during those overnight hours, and then that solves that issue. But it solves a lot of other issues that Neptune's Pride had for me, and it allows all these really sneaky things. And again, it's a game where you can't do everything yourself, and you've got people on all sides of you, so you have to find a way. It's a politics game. You're trying to convince them that helping you is in their best interest. And of course, that is sometimes down to luck, but it's also sometimes down to how manipulative you are. And so if you are a fan of manipulating others, this is the kind of game for you. But it's great. And the thing that gets me is how amazing the interface is. If you look at this, The interface allows you to scrub with the little wheel there. You can spin it and scrub forward and back in time and see what's going to happen only with the information you currently have available. So anything you can't see, you won't know about. The future is obviously not going to show properly. But you can scrub back in time and see what happened before. You can scrub forward in time and choose, okay, once this sub gets to there, then I'm going to have it immediately go to this other place. So you scrub to the point where it gets there, and then you move it forward. And once this factory produces more stuff, then I'm going to do there. So you can give orders that are going to be executed in the future, which also helps reduce the issue of I have to wake up in the middle of the night to do this. You can just set the order to go off in 3 hours from now or 10 hours from now. And you can just chain up a series of orders and you can walk away. And as long as nothing ever changes, your orders will go fine. But that's not usually the case. It's actually a free-to-play game, but you pay to get premium access, which lets you set up your own custom games with your friends and gives you access to the ranked mode, essentially. But it's a
totally
really cool
free
game.
Unless you want to play with your friends.
No, I don't know the exact things.
No
It's I know that you can't play the ranked mode unless you pay. And I know there's some other. Oh, you can't give more than 4 orders ahead of time. Unless you pay. And so you can definitely play it a whole game by yourself. Just try it out and decide if you like it. That's what I liked about it. I probably wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't get a chance to try it out, but I did pay for it. It's great. I got to get back to playing it. But there's all these little specialists that change the rules of the game. Like, the game rules are very simple, but then every specialist breaks the rule in some horribly overpowered way, which I love all the games. Like, Cosmic Encounter does that too. Anyway, this isn't supposed to be a commercial for Subterfuge. It's supposed to be a commercial for Helldivers.
Oh God.
It's actually not a commercial for Helldivers, but I was playing Helldivers the last week or so, and it's a pretty fun game that just came out recently on Steam. It's been on PlayStation recently. It's a top-down game that's very similar to one that many people probably have played called Alien Swarm, where you are essentially seeing your characters from a top-down view, and you're aiming and shooting, and you can accidentally kill your teammates and all kinds of stuff. So playing with fewer people sometimes is easier for you than trying to play with 4, because then it's much easier to accidentally kill somebody. We had a mission where we had to escort some survivors or whatever from one side of the map to the other, and we accidentally let one of the alarm bugs call in reinforcements, and so many of our guys died, and we wound up with only one guy left, and we were one
space lobster.
That is space lobster. We wound up one screen length away from getting him to where he needed to go. And we were like, oh, I'm gonna call in some ammo because I need to get. But when things come in, you see they launch from space and slam to the ground, and the ammo landed directly on top of our target that we were trying to transport, and he just got insta-killed. And we're like, we fought for the last 5 minutes to keep this one guy alive, and then we crushed him with ammunition by accident. We called in some 30 cal rounds, and that's all that took. So
I like it.
It's fairly well done, but the controls leave something to be desired. It's one of those games that was designed for like couch style play, so you all have to be on the same screen, despite the fact that you're playing over the internet. You can't leave the other people. Yeah. So if somebody like, oh, there's something off screen to the top here, I need to be able to see it, and you run to the bottom to shoot at something down there, well, then you're screwed. Neither of you are going to be able to see what you want to see. So anyway, it's definitely...
Wasn't it done...
Go ahead.
Wasn't it done by the same company that did Magicka?
It is.
Yeah, so that's probably why. They probably borrowed a lot of the same resources they have from Magicka and redid it here.
I imagine, yeah. But it's aside from the few control issues that we still enjoyed the hell out of it on Sunday. We played it for like 10 hours straight. So I recommend it. Anyway, that's what I've been doing recently. So what have you been up to, Callie?
Well, I'll make it really quick. XCOM 2 is coming out soon, so I've been enjoying some Enemy Within. If you've not played that, it's probably on sale somewhere. Get it cheap. Fun turn-based game. Good times. Then Binding of Isaac Afterbirth came out, and I've been trying to play that. I'm a terrible, terrible Binding of Isaac player, so it's a lot of fun. I just die a lot. And then Heroes of the Storm, though not with Gray, because I'm not trying to grind out my Vulture mount.
Mine's done. I'm
I get that. I understand. It's done. You're good.
I got a Vulture.
And then finally, Baby. So much Baby. He's been become a little fusspot at this point, but he's definitely a large time sink. And other than that, prior to the public release, I was doing a lot of the persistent universe and the PTU builds. And so we're going to talk about that today.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it.
So
Just
many
a quick
builds.
reminder, if you have any feedback or questions that you'd like to have discussed on the show, send them to feedback@talesofcitizens.com. I'm sorry,
swapped that to
that's
Tales
new.
of Show?
That should be changed. Yes, talesofshow.com is the domain. And they're
Tales of
Show.
.com.
Yeah, that's not what I want. There we go.
On the fly, we'll catch this in post. Don't worry about it, guys.
So the other thing that you should know is that this is the final month where the old podcast feed will be working. So if you are listening to this on the old podcast feed, go to talesofshow.com and get the new podcast feed link from there. I can also put it in the show notes for you here in a few minutes. So if you want to check the show notes, that'll do it as well. And the old website, you'll notice, is already being redirected to the new website. There we go. So
you may have already broken your podcast link.
No, the old podcast link wasn't on the website. It was hosted on Libsyn.
Oh, okay.
But that is what's going away sometime. Actually, we'll just say I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna not renew it for January. So it'll probably work through the end of the month, and then just switch over to the new podcast feed, and everybody will be hunky dory. Because Squarespace is hosting both shows for $8 a month, and Libsyn would have cost $30 a month for both shows. Oh, and Squarespace is hosting the website too, so that just seemed like a good all-around deal. So
it's a cost saving.
Yes, we're economical around here. Let's hop back right on over to Star Citizen, because I did get the chance to play around with 2.0 quite a bit today. Well, quite a bit, meaning when it wasn't crashing on me. But the other news that recently happened is we hit 100 million. Wow.
Yes.
It finally happened.
Crap.
Depending on your time zone, either today or yesterday, but $100 million is in the bank, which, if you think about it, is impressive given that they wanted to get, what was it, 2 million in Kickstarter, 6 million, and it could be, like almost, but not quite self-funding, and go for the persistent universe. And then at 20 million, it was self-funding entirely.
25,
and now,
I think it was.
25, and now we're 4 to 5 times that amount. So
Chris Roberts had stated he had hoped it would hit 100 million by the time the game came out and was completely done. So we're making good progress.
Definitely.
So if this trend continues, just like disco in the 70s, sorry, a little Simpsons reference there if you're not familiar with the.
So I only hope that the amount of money that we contribute is directly proportional to the speed at which the game is completed. But everybody who's ever done any programming knows that that is not the case.
Yes.
Time invested does not equal the correct outcome. I mean, just ask my company. The company I work for built proprietary tools to keep track of all our ordering and our customers and everything. And they must have hired the crappiest project manager and the crappiest programmers, because for 5 years we were using a program that was horrible and they couldn't fix it. It literally couldn't be fixed. So they just got a brand new team and re-implemented everything onto a web interface that is way faster. But man, do I have experience with poorly written programs. Anyway, back to Star Citizen.
It is the mythical man month for a reason.
Yeah, speaking of poorly written programs.
Oh, no.
Listen, I crashed a lot. I can say that. And then one time I loaded in and I was like inside my body, but somehow still flying my ship around. But I saw inside my ragdoll corpse, which was flying through space for some reason. It was a really weird bug.
So you had an in-body experience.
I did.
Okay. Actually, if you use Track IR or similar no Track IR or the other similar eye tracking, head tracking technologies, you can have that experience where if you've got the Z-axis enabled, you'll move forward a little bit or move back and suddenly you see the back of your head.
Yeah.
Or you'll see like the eyeball. Yeah, it's a little creepy.
A little creepy.
Yeah. But that said, you may have been having camera issues for whatever reason. Your camera was offset just slightly. So this is kind of thing you expect in
a
an
number of camera
alpha.
bugs hiding out there.
It's possible. Okay, so anyway, let's start out by talking about the new flight model, because that was one of the biggest changes, and it's easily feelable on Arena Commander, but you can also test out the cruise mode and the quantum jumps in the universe around Crusader. So I played around with this a little bit, and I felt that I didn't really play enough in the past to give it a proper comparison. I know that there's a bunch of people that are arguing that it was better before, or that it's very sluggish now, or what. There's a lot of people. We're on step implementation, guys.
Yes.
Balancing and tweaking comes next. So give it a second. They just rewrote the whole flight model.
I think that's something that people have to note is they did intend it to stay very close to what 1.3 was. But 1.3 didn't include huge portions of the flight model, particularly jerk and the rev up and down time of the engines.
Mm-hmm.
Jerk wasn't something they could control previously. It was just sort of a binary whatever ended up happening in the engine. Now it's something they can actually adjust. So that's a huge, huge thing for them to have on the balance docket, so to speak. So be patient with that at the very least. You can expect that there will be major changes to that particular handling with 2.0.0.
Oh yeah,
I could definitely see that.
I have to say, in the different game modes, the flight model itself feels more or less useful. So in Arena Commander, for example, I've not been a huge fan of the flight model changes, but in racing, I feel like it's a lot more tactical when you make decisions now. You come around to, okay, it's going to take a while to get up to speed. Do I want to do it now? Before, the older model, it seemed like you would slam there, hit the boost, cut the corner, and away you go.
And you're at 100% and you're fine.
Yeah. Now it's much more of a tactical selection of what you're going to do and when.
And with afterburners now in the game,
that's a huge fuel for your boost and afterburner, and which one you're using it for primarily at any given time is super important now. Before, I remember I could just boost all the time whenever I needed it, and I never felt like it was really running out until I'd been using it for like 4 or 5 minutes. But now it's like you use it on afterburner and it's gone in like 10 seconds. So yeah, afterburner's great and it can let you catch up to things, but you got to be careful about how you use it, or you won't have the boost when you need it later.
It actually does allow passing for probably the first time in Star Citizen Racing's history.
Yeah.
If two people flew basically perfectly, in the past it was whoever got off the line first would win that race. And even if they screwed up just a little bit, so long as you blocked the gate, you were fine. Or you died. Everyone died in the heat of all fire.
Or you get slapped in the wall,
Now with the Afterburner edition, it does give the ability to say, okay, I know this person's going to need to use their boost to get around this corner. I don't. Maybe I can get a little speed and get ahead of them first.
Stick your ass out there and hope for the best.
Slam into the back of their ship and hope for the best.
There you go.
One half dozen the other.
Yep.
So the next thing I want to jump
to
is the new flight model. It is what it is. I like the new additions to it. I think we can all agree it probably needs some tweaking still, and I don't have a problem with that since it's not even. If they called this beta, then I would be sad.
I did want to add the weight stuff actually being in play now is awesome. Being able to say, my ship will go faster if I don't have guns or missiles strapped to this, that's big. Now, there is the guy who figured out you could knock off non-essential parts of the Mustang Omega, turn it into basically a flying cockpit, and go 500 meters per second around the entire race course. That's going to have to change, and they've said it will.
Yeah.
But at least we know it's actually working on mass now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that apparently caused me to have some issues before I smashed into an asteroid or something in my 325A. And from that point on, every time I tried to turn, I would like black out immediately. And I was trying to figure out why. And I'm like, why am I going 320? I'm going 325 meters per second, but I'm still in space combat maneuvering. How am I going so fast?
It was 500 and some meters per second, wasn't it?
It was a lot closer to that. Then then Gray was like, "Well, did you hit anything? Are pieces of your ship missing?" I was like, "Yeah." So that might have something to do with blacking out every time I turn.
What is it? Can I have 2 tons less steel and I'm going faster? I don't understand. Oh God, I'm dead.
Unheard of. Although you are missing some of the maneuvering jets too, so that could explain why you lost a little speed or a little turning.
That's true.
Now, one thing I'd say about the new flight model, my suspicion, based on how well the Constellation is handling, is that they built this flight model with the bigger ships in mind. So right now, you've got the Retaliator and the Connie, and you can take those out in the Persistent Universe. I have a hard time not saying PU, but I don't want to say PU because it just seems weird. Anyway, you can take it out.
Mini Persistent Universe, so it's the MPU.
There you go. So you can take it out and APU.
Just call it Crusader.
You can take it out. You can fly around Crusader and.
Oh, it's a Crusader, so it's the CPU.
Yeah, I like it. CPU, perfect. And so right now they're at about 20% CPU usage.
Exactly.
All right. Not to take that pun too far, but you can fly your Constellation out, and it handles like a goddamn dream. I mean, you turn, you swivel, you never really seem to black out. Like it's ideal, and I wonder if it wasn't the Connie that they were using as the primary test model for the new flight model, and then they'll rebalance the smaller ships around it later, or worry about the really big ones like the Javelin or the Idris when it comes time.
I mean, with that in mind, have you seen Whitesnake did a video where he 1v1 to Connie down without any problem at all? The thing still can't turn fast enough to prevent a ship, even a slow ship, from just getting behind it and nuking it.
Not without turret gunners.
But what if, I was going to say, was there turret gunners in this particular video?
No, but there are some blind spots.
There are some blind spots, and keeping a ship in that blind spot, I don't know how difficult that would be. I've not tried it yet. But when you've got the active turrets, and turrets are another, it's not part of the flight model conversation, but we'll cover turrets in that later.
There's still some complaints about that we'll get to.
Yeah.
All right, so turrets. I actually didn't get a chance to use any of the turrets because Gray and I tried to get into the same instance and it didn't work.
They don't have stationary view. So if the ship turns, you don't keep pointing at the same star. You get whipped.
Yeah. So it's not automatically keeping itself.
There's no auto gyro keeping you pointed in the same direction. That's
probably coming. If I had to guess, auto gyro will be the next thing.
Yeah, they're basically unusable in every game that doesn't have that. I mean, even Battlefield 42, I think. No, actually, that was the only one of the Battlefield series that didn't have, like, when you were in the turret gunner on like your tank, your buddy would like turn to the right to shoot, and you'd be like, "No, I'm shooting infantry over here."
Yeah,
and that's the problem. Is unless they're gonna have to deal with slew rate for one.
Yeah, slew rate's a big problem.
It's going to have to be auto gyro with slew rate limitations.
Yeah,
which will get interesting. Which is probably why they didn't put it in for 2.0.
It means if your friend, the pilot, isn't doing super fast turns, then you'll be steady on the turrets, right? Which is a good trade-off. Like, if he needs to do evasive maneuvers, you're not going to be as accurate.
And that's the thing. Relatively, they have to do that calculation. So how quick is this person turning, and does that beat the slew rate on the turret? And then, And, I mean, it's been stated this will happen. Mm-hmm. There's no question that they're going to do it. I think that the calculations involved right now and the current server stability, they were much more interested in just making sure people could sit and fire in the turrets rather than making sure it pointed where you wanted it to all the time.
Like, welcome to our amusement park. Sit in this turret and shoot it.
Oh, God.
You won't have any targets and you won't have any accuracy, but that is the game.
Reddit, somebody posted a thing with the caption, "I want to get off Mr. Bones' wild ride."
If you are not familiar with that particular internet meme, go ahead and Google it. It's a fun ride.
Just not at work.
Yes.
But the big drawback with the social stuff in turrets is you can't get in the same instance. You guys have hit that problem. I've hit that problem. I know they're going to fix that whole social side and get everyone together at the same point, at the same time.
They'll actually implement the friend join again, which was in for a little while in the PTU, and they kind of pulled because it wasn't satisfactory.
Johnny He-Man says, what about the bottom Connie turret? I don't know. Is there something different about it compared to the top one?
Bad field of view. It doesn't flip upside down.
Really?
Part of the original...
You're staring
part of the
through your
original... Feet. Yeah. The initial plan with the Connie was to have it be a flip turret, and they said during the redesign process, making it flip was technically challenging to a point where they didn't really want to deal with it at the moment. So they're going... So as they released it, you look down through your feet and sort of gun staring downward. And if that turns out to be crippling, they'll revisit that particular part of the Connie.
Gotcha.
But by the sound of it, they want it to be just okay for now. And we'll see if that actually is the case with stabilization.
My hope is that they do with that turret what I would suggest all turrets should be, which would be a station in the Connie where you sit down at a seat and aren't actually in the turret. And then you control it from that station and that viewpoint as if you were a first-person camera in the turret.
We have
cameras. That said...
We don't have to put people in these very vulnerable balls that are sticking out of your armored hull. Like,
no, and
I understand we want the World War II feel, but...
Yeah, and in many modern tanks, most turrets are unmanned at this point anyway. It's one of the reasons why in Armored Warfare, where they modeled a lot of the insides of these, like Korean War and later tanks. If you shoot the turret, you do less damage than when you shoot the main body or the hull, because there's nothing in there to hit really. You might, if you're lucky, do some damage to the magazine. But
unless you're playing World of Tanks, in which case
World of Tanks is a little different.
Shoot the thing that's sticking out.
Yeah. But the I was going somewhere with this, and I just lost my train of thought. Yes. So we'll keep going. Yeah, I know, you got me. For once, it's not me making a joke at the wrong time and derailing everything. No, now it's you. You did this to me. But yeah, so having a console where you just sit down and you're not going to be doing the shoot through your feet thing. Although the good news is that Rainbow Six just came out recently, and you do a lot of shooting through your feet when you're laying prone in that game. So I'm saying you're already ready for the boarding action if you're in the Connie's lower turret. So maybe that's the advantage.
We have a little cross pollination there in the game evolution scheme of things. So let's talk about the EVAs. That's one of the things you can do is sort of get out of your ships and try to get in other people's ships. I only did that within the context of the restart the comm arrays mission, and then hope to God that my ship was still there when I came back out, because as I'm inside this thing trying to open up the thing, I hear like explosions and shooting going on as the NPCs are fighting pirates out there, and I'm like, did another player come in? Because the same audio was played, like, hey, we could use some help over here or whatever. Like the same audio that played when I came in played again, and I'm thinking,
somebody
what if
came in, immediately crashed, and the ships just start going off on yours.
Yeah, luckily my ship was okay when I got back out, but I had this really weird thing where it didn't seem like I was able to go forward properly, and then eventually it was, and I don't know if it was just me not feeling it right in the beginning, but eventually yes, it was working fine. I hit W, go forward.
I've encountered a problem like that, and this came down to my foot was actually stuck on something, and I didn't realize it. So I'm like, nice. I can't go. Why can't go? Why am I not moving? Oh, up, forward. Okay, we're good. So, but I've been that guy, by the way. I came out of the comm array, and my ship was blown to hell. And I'm like, all right, well, I probably shouldn't have brought the Hornet out here, but I did that. And so as I'm moving around, I came across somebody's little Mustang, and I hopped right in and flew off in it. So hopefully he found somebody to give him a ride back. But
there will perpetually be one player stuck at that comm array forever, hiding and waiting for the next player to come by, and then steals their ship and trades places.
I was thinking, I feel bad about this, but who shot my ship up? Must have been this guy. And off I went.
Yeah. And then
I found the counter to this. You fly the Constellation.
Yes.
Because nobody can get into the Constellation after you've EVA'd out, including you.
Yeah, you can't get back into that damn thing. It's true.
That is the most challenging thing I've ever had to deal with, is getting in the side hatches of the Constellation. Because you open it, and it depressurizes, and you've got the open hatch.
You vent.
And then you try to get inside, which is in and of itself trying to fit something slightly too large for the hole into the hole. And then you have to trigger it again without getting flung back into space by random mechanical action.
That's what she said.
Sometimes through a wall. Also what she said.
Yeah.
But yes.
Okay.
Wow, this is taking a dark turn, guys. I don't need to know about what you're watching on the internet.
Nice. So I didn't get to go to the FPS sort of stations, like the abandoned military base or whatever they have there, because I was doing some of the other things, and then I crashed, and then I jumped back in, and it was working, and then the servers disconnected. And I kept trying to get back in.
So my experience. My experience with the comm arrays is that they are absolutely FPS stations. When you pop out of there, there's probably someone waiting there for some hapless player who just wants to try out a quest to get shot up by whatever sidearm he has handy. So be ready for that when you try.
And
now, when you go to the actual FPS station, sometimes you don't even have to get out of your ship to start the FPS action, because someone will take one of the rifles that are laying around and try to shoot your ship. Yes. At which point you show them what a size 4 gun does to human flesh.
And they'll also, during this, have a lesson on the feasibility of small arms fire versus a shielded starship.
There are some really great videos from the PTU hovering around. They were on Reddit for a while, so I'm sure some of you folks have seen them, where folks put out a distress call in chat. Somebody shows up, and they try desperately to shoot the ship that shows up and just get plastered instantly the moment that the shield lights up. And they're like, oh, that didn't work at all.
No.
This is going to be your life if you continue small arms fire versus something with a size 3 nose gun.
Well, there was that bug very briefly in Arena Commander where the pistol did
kill.
like 1 billion damage. Like anything you hit on the ship just blew up.
It was
so
better
maybe
to eject during Vandal Swarm and just peg them one at a time. Yeah.
So it could be fun, But yeah, I'm also gonna say I'm not sure they fixed it with the public release, but at least during the closed testing, you could just walk up to a ship that spawned there at the station, and then just step in and fly away. So it didn't matter if you had summoned the ship, you could take it. So if you were out there anyway, you could just hop in and fly off. It's not ideal. I'm sure they'll fix that, but I'm not saying that our listeners should do that at every opportunity, but I'm saying that I would. So,
so don't be like Callie. That's our lesson of the
show
day.
About half the time, right?
That's a new segment.
Shows,
don't be like Calathulu.
Don't be like
Don't do X. That's
I could do that. I could take some video of whatever I'm doing and have it go horribly wrong. Don't do this. Everything is a lesson. Sometimes the lesson is what not to do.
Like in my Europa Universalis game, don't attack the Ottomans when they're allied with France. It's just not what you do. So, yeah. I didn't know they had an alliance with France. They got it, like, literally 2 minutes before I decided. Like, I had decided to attack them in between the time when I decided to.
Toast.
Yeah, I guess that's why I'm supposed to read the notes. Okay, anyway, so the performance of the Alpha 2.0 is unfortunate, but my interpretation is that most of the performance issues are latency related. The performance issues I thought I had, which I thought were like FPS, I thought I was getting like 20 FPS or something, but it actually completely resolved when the servers went down and then came back up, and I was able to connect to them, and for 10 seconds I was moving with glorious speed and precision, and everything felt great, and then it slowly lagged out again as everybody reconnected to the servers. Yeah. But for that few seconds...
This is the first iteration of CIG's 64-bit giant zone technology. So, hey, this is still more stable than Arena Commander was back in the day, right?
Oh, God.
Bridger, you remember PAX East, right?
Yeah.
That was an experience.
Hey,
it was
bullshit. It was bullshit.
Yes,
bullshit.
That was the tagline from that particular day. But yeah, so if anybody thinks that they're having FPS issues or it feels like they're getting rubber bandy, yeah, that seems to be a server-side thing and or a latency issue that is hopefully going to be cleaned up in the future.
Oh yeah.
So that was my experience. So let's talk about what we actually did in the persistent universe that we did get a chance to do. So my little story was that I managed to get out into space and I saw the quantum things. I was like, all right, what is all this stuff? I've got my Moby Glass here. It says go check out these relays. So I'm like, all right, let's go find the comms relay. And then I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how to fly around in space, and then found the hole in the stupid thing because I parked at the bottom instead of at the top, and this is a whole thing. And I got inside and I rebooted it just like they did on the video back at PAX, and or no, CitizenCon was the one where they showed that up.
We should have just titled this section "Bridger Can't Find the Hole."
I can't find the hole. So then I found my way out of the hole again later, and it was K. And then.
It could be worse. It could have been the wrong hole.
Right. I mean, yes. So anyway, I got back in my ship and I got told, "Oh, thanks for fixing that there comm relay. There's a communications probe you might want to go check out." So we're talking about holes and probes now. This is getting even better. And so I go talk to this lady, and the voice acting was actually very, very good. I kind of didn't expect it to be as high quality as it was. And this lady who talked so much, and then it was clear why she talked so much, because she doesn't have anybody to talk to, and she's like, "I'm rambling, aren't I? Well, I don't talk to too many people. We don't get a lot of travelers out this way." It was just really unique and fun, and she had a little bit of a character to her. I liked it. So anyway, she sent me on a new mission to explore a distress beacon. Yeah, it is. I didn't expect that level, though.
Quality director.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think we'd get that so soon.
I'm just very hopeful, and this is not a dig at Star Wars, although I've got many digs against Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but I have some digs. But I'm really hopeful that, unlike in Wing Commander, Mark Hamill's acting in this does not make me wish I had not watched whatever it was I just watched. Again, it's not a shot. It's just, it's, with games, especially back in the day with the acting in games, it wasn't great. I don't think they were really pushing directors to make them great. Now it's more of an art form. So I'm very, very hopeful. I don't have a ton of faith, but I'm very, very hopeful. Does he act better than I would? Absolutely. Will I still criticize it? You people know me. Of course I will.
Well,
fair.
What's the call sign of Hamill's character? It's old something, right? Old guy.
Old timer.
Old guy.
No,
Wow.
not old guy.
Wow.
Old timer or
Somebody in the chat.
Old timer.
Old man. It's literally
okay.
just Steve.
Wow.
Old man Colton.
Oh, I mean, it could be
And
Snowball.
they've
So I
got
guess it could be
Gary
worse.
Oldman in it. They didn't want to give him that role.
they have the meet the old man teaser.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That's a
looking
good one
for.
though.
It was a good one. It was a good one. I'm very, like I said, I'm hopeful. We'll leave it at that. But yeah, it's so far with the release, it's been a really interesting. Like the voice acting's been great. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the motion capture in game. Like we get a little bit, I think, of that with the shops, but it hasn't stood out to me as being wow, or I don't. They're all wooden. Though I'm going to say there was a video of this, but someone was flying their Constellation. Ship is sparking and smoke is everywhere. Things are on fire, and the most passive, stoic pilot you've ever seen in your life, just staring forward as the world burns around him. And I'm thinking, maybe they could add a little reflection, some jumpiness, something in there to make it.
And then they could tie your head to the camera, so you're jumping around, and
There
as
you go.
things get worse,
You can't
get
fly
twitchier,
anymore.
and your camera starts looking randomly around. That would make all of the people happy who hated Head Bob.
Oh God. Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, fire up.
Wait.
That's the
Wait.
only bit of sound we have of Mark Hamill. So I don't know if that puts you at ease or not. That's Mark Hamill as
Okay.
Old Man Steve.
Yeah. So, wow, old man Steve.
Yeah.
I've seen complaints about a dearth of original scripts, but Old Man Steve may be the best name for any character ever. I like that. That's pretty good.
That's the old man. Yeah, that works well. All right. So anyway, so I managed to contact this probe lady who talked way too much and recognized the fact that she talked way too much and continued talking and sent me to go explore a DB, and then didn't realize that I probably don't know what DB meant, even though I figured out that it meant distress beacon in the context because, it's space. There are going to be
Because it showed
distress
up on your
calls.
quantum drive list.
Yeah, so
Not a database.
So she said, "Oh, by the way, I guess I called distress beacons DBs. I'm probably the only one that calls them that, but you could start calling them that too, and then maybe we can make it a thing." I'm like, is CIG trying to insert their own jargon into the collective culture?
It's all part of immersion, and that way you won't be calling DBs a database in game.
Right, I guess so. I don't know. But so I went to explore the distress beacon. I saw a big red light flashing somewhere in there. And then I got attacked by pirates. She sent me on a mission to get captured and killed by pirates. That's not cool.
She's in their pay.
That's what I'm saying.
You don't find it out till much later, but she's in their pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's like the Yosaf bridge of this game.
It's a honeypot.
Exactly. Except you never get to see it, so you don't even get that benefit. So okay, so there is a little bit of NPC dogfighting there. What else did you guys do? What did you guys get to?
The interesting bit with the NPC dogfighting is I've not done this myself. I've tried over and over again. And what I've learned is I just blow shit up and it blows up. But apparently you can actually capture the pirate Aurora. If you kill him, you can get out and take that pirate Aurora and fly off in it. So I've been trying.
Yeah.
Yep.
EMP him with that new. By the way, there are new ships flyable, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
EMP him with that new Warlock, and then.
That's where I'm going wrong.
Yeah, that way
I'm
you can just
killing
open the
things.
canopy.
I need to buy the EMP.
No. You
I've
just
got
need to fly. You just need to fly right up to them in an Aurora Warlock, sit on top of their hull, wave, and then launch that EMP.
Aurora.
And they
Isn't
just
it a
stop
Vanguard
moving.
Warlock?
It's the Avenger.
Avenger Warlock. I knew it was an Aurora. Anyway.
Avenger.
But yeah, so you can actually capture the ship. So should you be wanting to try that out, go for it. I learned a lot about, I can't, get fine aim to the point where I need it. So there's that.
So if they're still alive in there, you got to like open up the canopy, punch them in the face, and say, "Welcome to Earth."
I do like how you made it Earth instead of Earth. That's good.
Well, yeah, that's what he said. You can't
Did you
deny
have a cigar at the time? I'm not denying it. You just need a cigar at the time, right? You need
That's
to smoke
true.
it after you're done.
That's true. So anyway, you can hijack people's ships. You can fight those NPCs. I don't know what else there is to do because it kept crashing and shutting down on me. I want to get to the FPS thing, but I feel like it's going to be clumsy and slow based on how I was walking around on the starting platform. It was very herky-jerky and like rubber bandy, which felt like it was
herky-jerky.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Connecticism. It's just how that goes.
Sure.
No.
Let's blame this on Connecticut.
Yeah.
No, seriously. You guys think there's a dance to Cotton Eye Joe?
There is a dance to Cotton Eye Joe.
So with the FPS stuff, I think that's entirely down to dodgy netcode. See, now I'm making a Californianism, dodgy netcode. No, I'm kidding. So to me, it feels a lot more like an Arma-style game, which is cool because my big concern with the original product from Ilphonic being Ilphonic was going to be something that was Quake on acid. So the good news is we didn't get Quake. We might have gotten acid with the EVA, but it's more Arma style. So I'd say, I know there's a lot of debate right now running through the community about whether or not Ilphonic sucks donkey balls or they just weren't very good. And I'm going to say they did good enough. Gray apparently has lost his mind over there.
Sneezed.
Okay.
Okay, so
yeah, Ilphonic, I don't know. They did what they were contracted to do. Now it's back in RSI's hands. I don't want to speak ill of them. I don't think they got quite as far as everybody had planned. But that's personal speculation more than anything that's actually, stated.
But yeah, the FPS as it stands right now, without a ton of input from RSI yet, this is still their base product basically, is good enough to get the start of FPS for the alpha. So.
The thing that I've actually really been enjoying, beyond the FPS and beyond the comma rays and beyond the fact that I can get my sparking Constellation repaired and it continues to spark and smoke.
Yes. I do love that bug.
I gotta tell you, it's not too reassuring to be like, okay, you're all repaired, have a nice day. No, I'm still on fire. This is
and
a
the
problem.
way it starts, because anything that hits your Constellation lights that fucker up. I mean,
your cockpit is just constantly sparking.
Yes.
And then
I'm pretty sure I bounced off a platform and the whole thing just caught on fire. It was awesome.
But beyond that, just the sightseeing elements in this game are amazing. When I found that, was it Yesla, the moon that has the asteroids?
Yes.
I warped in and I was expecting, okay, I'm going to warp it right on top of it. I'm going to fly around it. It'll take me about 30 seconds and I'll leave. And then I realized that things weren't getting bigger as I was accelerating toward them. I'm like, wait.
How far away is that?
Let's go up to 1,000 meters a second. And then they started barely getting bigger. And I went, oh, now I see how big this is.
I did see somebody on the forums saying, it's way too fast to get from one place to another in this game with the quantum jump. You might as well not even spin it up. I don't think
unless there's anything in between.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're looking at one planet here. I don't think they comprehend just how much more massive the distance is between planets versus the size of a single planet.
Not only are we looking at one planet, we're looking at a downscaled one planet.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
The devs have absolutely said that this isn't as big as they intend one planet to be. This is purely for them to be able to say, we want to be able to test spawns, we want to be able to test quests, we want to be able to test shaders on asteroids. Yeah. But like planet-sized shaders aren't in yet. That's a hard one to get out. Planet-sized shaders.
Now say it 10 times fast.
And they're going to be looking at making, things like Crusader much larger when they have those shaders actually loaded in and working. And they're going to increase the distances when they know that when you go from point A to point B and you get to point B, 3 minutes later instead of 3 seconds, there's actually going to be something to do and it won't break your game and crash, and you wouldn't have just spent 3 minutes in an alpha flying from this point to this point when they don't want to test flying. I think that's the key here, is we're seeing a compressed CPU.
Yeah.
I love it.
Damn it.
It works. Just works.
Damn it. No, it's there.
We're seeing a CCCU or a CCPU because they want to be able to test those spawns. When pirates were breaking everything back in patch J, I, J, K.
Mm-hmm.
LMNOP?
L was good.
Okay. All right.
Back in the PTU, they needed to know when people zoned in, hey, these pirates are going to spawn and this is going to matter. If it took you 6 minutes to get to the place where the pirates spawned, nobody would have done it, because half of them wouldn't have even gotten there before the servers crashed.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have...
it would have required doubling at least the number of PTU patches. Though we may have ended up with more stable servers as a result, I think it's better to have a good mix of balance passes and fixes than, a very, very stable server, but the moment you come in and a pirate spawns, everything blows up and the whole server dies.
Well, yeah, the stability early on wasn't great. It got better towards the end of the very closed setup, and now we're seeing the whole rollout is not okay. Well, hold on for a second here. Shake and bake. I don't juice.
But you should
steroids are a very steroids are a very natural outlet for anyone, and my doctor has prescribed. Oh, I'm kidding. All right.
And again, so we come back to the "Let's not be like Cthulhu" segment of the week.
The track marks from my arm, flea bites. Yeah. At any rate,
flu shots are way more believable, buddy. It's December. You got to know how to rotate your excuses. We had Finlay Swift in the chat was asking, what's the largest number of people you've seen in an instance? I think based
12
on
or 15.
Yeah, it's around 12 probably.
I've seen at least a dozen people at once before flying around Port Olisar.
Yeah.
It was a busy area. There were a lot of ships in motion, but it's possible.
That's what I've noticed, actually. When it's really busy and you're flying outside the port, you can see all the ships pop up and there are little contact points on there. So if it's really busy and you're on a crowded instance, you can probably count exactly how many people are there just based on 3, 6, 9. Yeah.
Now, I haven't tried this, but I'm sure Callie has, since he is the father of let's not do this. Oh, yes, let's do this. So the weapons are disabled when you're around the port, but can you crash into other ships that are merely trying to take off?
Yes. And in fact, you can knock them off the pad into space.
If you hit them hard enough, you push them right off. In fact, you can crash into people on the pad.
Or can you kill them? Because I remember people like to do that with scythes in PlanetSide. Just go there are tons of people just on a flat landing pad, and you just fly right through them, and just 20 people would die. It was great.
There are quite a few videos of people with glaives actually deploying the blades, because you can deploy the blades now.
Yeah.
And using it to cut Avengers in half on the pad.
What?
I have to. I'm going to bring my scythe out. I have to.
The Avenger has a weak point right behind the cockpit, and some people have managed to do it with enough speed to cut the ship in half. So at one point, there was a video of some guy doing this to prove that it could be done during the PTU. And then another video from a guy who ordered up his Avenger, walked out the door, and found his Avenger cut in half, sitting on the landing pad. And they had never communicated with each other, but both posted their video on Reddit, and they ended up next to each other. It's like, oh, you did this.
You!
Now I have to. I mean, that's like a requirement. That's like the glaive or scythe rite of passage.
But you realize if you start doing this, anytime somebody sees a glaive or a scythe spawned, they're going to ram it off the pad.
But here's the thing. As long as they hit the blade on the glaive or the scythe, it's fine. I mean, it's not going to move the ship. No.
Again, bringing us to the moral of our show.
Don't do what Callie would do. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just call an entire episode, call it just Don't Be Like Callie.
Well, what would Callie Thulu do if he were here right now? He'd make a plan and follow through. Sorry, I'm just stealing straight from South Park at this point.
Yeah, you are. So, Let's see. Any other pieces to this? Somebody, I think, Gray, did you mention there was somebody who literally just used cruise mode to get from one point to another here instead of using the quantum jump?
So for those of you who aren't familiar, Elite Dangerous is set up so that if you fly from one point to another, the only way to make a system load fully is to super cruise to that system. The trigger is to super cruise into the system. That's what makes it load. And they do sort of peer-to-peer stuff effectively to cut down on server
And by
load.
system, do you mean like a planetary system or just a station?
Like a star system.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you went from Earth to Alpha Centauri, you have to super cruise from Earth to Alpha Centauri, even if you don't want to. Because if you fly at normal speeds and get to that system, you show up and there's like the skeleton of a space station that doesn't load in, and planets that don't load in, and nobody can actually join the same instance as you. They join their own instance, and you just end up sitting in sort of super
Limbo.
non-existent fuzzy space.
And the reason for this is they assume that no one will be crazy enough to fly at normal speeds and take the hours it would take to get there.
Correct. So,
But you know what somebody did in the Star Citizen, PU?
They've done it in ED too, but
Yeah.
in Star Citizen, someone wanted to prove once and for all that they were not doing this, that it was actually fully rendered 64-bit instancing where you could go from point A to point B and have it work. So they used a system that let you load in the map in single player, which is something you can do. I don't suggest it. You're not adding anything to the testing usually, but it is good for this. And flew for 23 straight hours in cruise mode, I think in a Gladius or something, to get from the station to the closest point of interest on the map, which was a comm station, which would have taken like 1% quantum fuel or 2% quantum fuel.
All right.
And they did it. In 23 hours, they flew to the comm station, and it was all there. And then the pirates spawned in, and it crashed their client because it was the patch before L.
Gotcha.
So I'm actually not impressed with the 23-hour commitment that guy made, although that is impressive. Not as
He didn't sit at
impressed
the keyboard.
as...
He just let it fly on his wife's computer, apparently.
I get it. I'm more impressed it didn't crash on him in that 23-hour span until he got there.
If you're in single player, the vast majority of the crashes that you're going to run into with Star Citizen right now are server side. They're not client side.
Okay.
So if you pull something into the single player map mode, which is what this guy did, and then you just fly, you could go the entire map and never crash unless you hit an event that actually causes a client crash.
Right, because in the middle
Which
of
in this
space,
case
there's
was
nothing to
spawning
crash your
pirates
ship.
when you get to a system.
Okay. I was about to say, I don't think I've ever been able more than like 30 or 40 minutes of uptime. So 23 hours, impressive. Yeah. But you're right. It's single player. Hadn't even considered it.
You couldn't have done it if you were on the servers, because the servers do go down. But this guy did a very effective job of proving that CIG actually populates the whole thing out all the way. They're not cheating. Though they did notice some hand bloating, which was kind of fun when you started getting further out.
What, your hands get bigger?
Yes, your character hands render and start bloating and get larger and don't really fit around the controls. And it has to actually do with the interesting way that CIG is doing rendering. So when they got from one point to another, the 64-bit system allows them to track where they're at all times. There's no problem at all. Ship gets there. Everything's fine 23 hours later. The issue was when they got away from points of interest, at the moment, CIG doesn't consider a single-player ship like a Gladius that doesn't have an internal physics instance. It doesn't have a physics grid on the inside of the ship like a Constellation does. They don't render based on that grid. They render based on the nearest large point of interest, which in this case was Point Olisar.
All right.
So as they got about 50 bajillion kilometers away from Port Olisar, the rendering is being done in 32-bit based on that nearest point of interest. And the nearest point of interest was not their ship, because the ships that are one-player, no internal physics instancing don't seem to be set up to be a point of interest while the servers are being tested for stability, for what should be understandable reasons. So the hands started bloating because the character was rendering just off in all kinds of different directions.
Because it didn't have the precision because it was so far away. That's
because it was too far away.
And the chat room has nothing interesting to say about this amazing technical glitch except
Does your
junk bloat too?
Does it make your junk bloat too? Thank you for that. It is somewhat like GTA 5 in that way, yes. But yes, junk bloating. But CIG has a fix.
Least
to this,
sexy innuendo that we've ever had on this entire show.
Yeah, this is
and that's saying
there.
something. So anyway,
the solution is basically to create local physics instances for these ships or local POIs for these ships, which will be great once they actually have the servers doing everything they need to do and being able to handle that additional load, which will be notable.
Have its own grid? It must, because I can walk around in there. So that's the kind of ship that does have its own. So my hands won't.
So does the Aurora, actually.
Yeah.
Anywhere where you can get up out of your seat with Control F and walk around, you've got a local grid. But like a Merlin,
Hornet,
literally just the Hornet and the Merlin.
Gladius.
I think the Vanguard is just a.
No, Vanguard you can walk around inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got one of those in my hangar. By the way, Vanguard hangar ready.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Beautiful.
I splurged on the Vanguard and I got all the little components for it. So now I need to figure out how to mount them on my ship and play with it and have some real fun with it.
Is there any way to adjust, like when I get the 325A, I'm just getting the stock version in the persistent universe. There's no way to adjust that like you can in your hangar, right? Or does it launch the one from your hangar?
Yet.
I don't think so.
Not yet is what I understand.
But
they might have modules you can upgrade with.
The other
they're
thing
not letting
I
you do anything yet.
I'm not
They're
sure.
not letting customization happen because this is so early. It's a lot like the very, very early versions of Arena Commander, where you were just dealing with this is a Hornet. You will just fly a Hornet.
Right. So one thing I did notice is, and I'm not sure if this is something that was patched in, because I probably haven't played since 1.2 or 1.3. I only played those a little bit. So the 325A, the nose gun is the same one that it was before, the sledge, and it's now got the same velocity as the Omnonsky 6s, Omnisky,
the Russian
one. And so that's great. But the other thing is the overheating system is much more or sensitive, I guess, because that nose gun will overheat after maybe 3 or 4 shots, and my lasers take more shots to overheat, but they will overheat too, and they will cool down faster. So I can't. That's kind of a limitation of the sledge. I think it still does a lot of damage, but if you miss too many times, then you're in trouble.
Which makes sense. I mean, the sledges before the heating was an issue were ridiculous. So it looks like they didn't really tone the damage much, but they have made it a lot harder to get that many shots off with it.
Yeah, I couldn't just spam my energy weapons either because they'd overheat too, and I liked that limitation.
That size 4 tank cannon you can mount on top of the Hornet or the Cutlass right now.
I need to go look it up, apparently. I've not heard of this beast.
Yeah, you have to actually put a special mount in place of the turret. And for the Cutlass, it'll be gimbaled because it's a bigger spot. For the Hornet, it'll be fixed.
Oh, okay.
But it's a tank cannon. You can hit a scythe with it, and it will tumble through space. It's amazing.
Firing
the mass involved in this
depleted
thing,
uranium
it's like
tungsten rounds,
something or another.
So it's firing the main gun from the M1 Abrams. Is that what we're hearing?
That sounds like it. Yeah,
not quite, but it's close. Yeah.
All right. So, any final comments from you guys on anything that we've that the 2.0 has thrown at us here?
I do think I know which gun they're talking about. Let's see, here it is: the C788 Combine Ballistic Cannon, which just sounds awesome.
Size 4, yeah.
Size 4. It gets a whopping 2-star rating from Whitley's guide rating. I'm gonna go Whitley, a moron.
What if it's unreliable and they're factoring reliability into there?
It's quite reliable. It's just you can't hit things very quickly. It is a slower shell compared to a lot of the other weapons.
So just aim at a Connie that's not moving fast.
So I've got like 7.
Oh man, this is something I did want to add.
Okay.
Connies are not hard to kill.
No.
People have been bragging about killing these things, and I see it, and I'm just like, oh god, it's slow. It had up until 2.0 live or a patch before, it had the same shield as a Hornet.
Yep.
the thing is just a whale.
They aren't hard to kill right now. They are a joy to fly. I love flying the Connie.
Yeah, they're amazing
it is beautiful.
fly.
And the vast majority of them don't have anybody manning the turrets because you can't get in with your friends.
Someone's going to shoot you in the face if you let them onto their ship.
Yeah, and here's the thing. With the Connie, if you get, like, you do pirate fighting against NPCs, you get the pirate in front of you and you line up your guns, you don't have a pirate anymore. It's like, clunk, and it's gone. It's fantastic. The trouble is, against other players, the Hornet will sit right behind your thruster and have his way with you. And there's not a lot you can do about that right now because it's faster and it can move around. And, but I'm saying it will get fixed. I'm confident in the Connie with 4 people on it will take on 4 single-person fighters eventually. But yeah, we already kind of covered some of these issues earlier with the turret section about how that's just not done yet. But I'm going to say, if I have 4 of these on my Connie, the Bearing Ballistic Cannon C788 Combine, I'm going to have some fun with the NPCs. And if I can get, a EVA player out there and I don't want to ram them, I'll just shoot them. It's perfect. I want to see a red mist.
All right, Callie, we're in space. They don't have mists in space.
I think if you hit somebody hard enough that they actually dematerialize, it is a red mist.
Okay. It's a vaporization, I guess.
There you go.
A red crystalline mist.
A red crystallization, yes.
Ah, there you go. Now we're talking realism and science.
All right.
All right. So, Callie, you wrote in a concern of the week here that I'm not sure I understand. I'm going to let you take.
I've been following the concern form, and I see a lot of concerns, and some are valid. Quiet you. Some are valid, and some are not. But I have found that the concern I like the most is my own, because I read through the patch notes, and this one jumped out at me. Quote, all non-snub craft have a quantum drive that allows them to travel through local space at genuinely 0.2 C. So what is the non-genuine 0.2 C? That's my concern. When I'm not genuinely using the quantum drive at 0.2 C, what does that mean? What are they planning? What is this new pay-to-win option? Is this the vaunted ludicrous speed engine we talked about weeks ago?
No.
I think it is, sir.
This is
I say good day.
No, this is like they're trying to make sure you're not using a knockoff pirated engine. So this is like Windows genuine experience genuine.
Okay. So now we have in-game DRM. Exactly. I mean, we already had a DRM problem, but now it's in-game DRM.
Can I read this from chat just for a moment? I didn't realize how much I needed a giant boxing glove on my ship until now. Thank you, Finlay Swift.
Well, I'm sure if you contact, Joker Industries, they will, they'll hook you up with that. Or Acme, whatever the Acme equivalent is.
I think we call that bearing.
Bearing. No, not bearing. Bearing is a quality name.
You're right. Given how many ships we've seen so far, I'm going to go with the Acme is actually Drake in Star Citizen.
I think so. I think Drake must be the Acme.
Bring it.
Because Bearing is in the Freelancer commercial with trusted names like Bearing and Kronig. You're not.
You didn't see Drake in there.
Exactly.
Drake, the 1970s Honda of Star Citizen.
So
I'm waiting for someone who really likes the Cutlass to.
And we had somebody that posted. I don't remember this. Do you guys remember we had a conversation about the YouTube gaming thing at some point on the previous show, and we had somebody. I wasn't even me. One of you guys mentioned the fact that there was a pay button on there.
I saw it and thought, wow, there's a pay button. This is cool. I should do something with this. And then I did my credit card, so you didn't get $1.
What?
You what credit card? What?
I clicked on the button and it said give $1 and thought, great, I'll use Google Pay and I'll give $1. But it asked for a credit card.
It didn't want to use Google Pay?
Apparently not. So I didn't give you $1.
Oh.
You lost $1 because it was just not easy enough to pay you.
Well, there you go. But we did have somebody who got very butthurt about that. And they thought that
finally
that we were like shilling or that we had sold out And now we're going to have 6-hour advertisements to tell people to...
Money, please.
Yeah. No, that's not how this show works.
Wait, so they got butthurt. They got butthurt about my comment about paying money, but they didn't get butthurt about my, we'll go with your earlier phrase, euphemism about rectal bleeding.
I guess so. Because that doesn't involve
if
selling
you're going
out.
to get butthurt, rectal bleeding is what you get butthurt about.
Yeah. Well, because it takes place in the butt.
Yes.
Now.
Well, okay. I think we've squeezed every last ounce of entertainment we can possibly get out of episode 36 here today. I'm pretty certain it won't get any better, so I'm going to end it now on the highest note possible.
But to the gentleman who was upset that we sold out, we didn't sell out. I just happened to notice a button and thought it was cool. If that makes me a sellout because I like shiny things, then okay. I could also be a magpie. You don't know.
Mine. Birds like shiny things too, is what I'm gonna say. So, thank you guys for tuning in. And we don't have a Patreon because I'm apparently not a sellout. If that's what that makes, that's what makes you a sellout, is asking for money from people for a free product.
I thought Patron was sponsoring us these days. That's why we all have these conversations. Patron, makers of fine tequila.
Oh, not me. I don't drink, so maybe if A&W or Ozma Mountain Cream Soda wanted to give me a call, we'd talk about it. All right. Anyway, that's the weirdest ending to a show ever. I ran out of time. It was the end of the song.
I'm okay. I'm first, Bridger. I'm impressed. I never actually read the comments. I more or less just drop in every now and then, so that you actually caught someone who was that upset. Well, I guess you do get the little feedback from YouTube saying blank has left a comment.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's why. Because I do occasionally spot check to see who hates me so I can comment on it later. But I haven't had a good chance for that. Yeah, it's the thing is, being hated is what gets me up every day. That's why I have employees.
Is that
so that they can hate me?
So the other thing
it keeps me going.
The other thing that I just recently read an article about, and I don't know if we're guilty of this. Did you know there is now an identified dialect associated with YouTubers and Twitch streamers?
Interesting. I can believe it in the same way that Hollywood has made the American dialect, which it turns out is the Californian dialect.
Well, specifically, the news has made the Midwestern American accent sort of ubiquitous in the 50s and 60s and 70s. But so this is an interesting... I'll post it in the chat if I can, if it lets me post links. It apparently does let me post links in YouTube now, which used to be an issue, but now it
well, you're the owner. That's why you can.
Yeah, I think so.
I could too, actually. I had no problem with that.
You can too.
I think you were a moderator.
Why do you not let me post links, assholes?
I don't know.
I want to post my.
But anyway, so this is this is on the Atlantic, and it's basically somebody did an analysis of many different YouTubers, and they have a very specific type of speaking pattern where they use overstressed vowels and they stick extra vowels between consonants, I guess, and they use long
a lot
vowels
of
and aspiration and things. I think that it's a natural manifestation of someone attempting to give themselves more time to say something because they're speaking mostly off the cuff as like a lecture mode.
Yeah, they do have an example here, actually, right here. Listen to the way they say trapping at 35 seconds.
I do want to
trapping.
Is it trapping? Let's find out.
T-Mobile now has been.
No, it's T-Mobile. And they're stupid. This is actually, like, as much as I love T-Mobile for making cell phone service cheaper than it used to be, I hate that they're like, yeah, you should be happy that we're giving you this extra ability to download. No, I just want to pay for bandwidth and not get charged extra for when I use it. Okay? That's all I want. But let's see if we can identify the trapping.
Martin Heidegger trapping himself inside
I don't know. It sounded kind of normal to me.
Trapping. Okay, I wouldn't have said trapping. Trapping. Yeah,
But
although
I think they're right, because I think if you
Yeah,
watch things from like the Blog Brothers and Idea Channel and a lot of the other sort of educational channel people that are making their living there, and then you can also see it in a lot of the major gaming channels as well. They have a certain manner of speaking that can only be described as bouncy, and I think that's correct.
interesting. Yeah, I can kind of see that, and you know, again,
Somebody
I'm gonna
else
go with
just
California.
recommended The Expanse.
Yeah, Alberto, what is The Expanse? I don't know what this is.
It's a show
I
on
need help.
Sci-Fi, but I thought it was
Oh!
also a book series.
Oh no, I did see this. I was at the gym last night, hating my goddamn life. Well, let's put it this way: if you're in the gym at 11:30 at night because you're trying to finish a 5K run that you promised yourself you would do earlier that day, you will hate your own life, especially if you're already sore from squats. So I was in the gym hating my life, and I saw this commercial, but there were no subtitles on this TV for some reason, as I'm, staring fixedly forward on the treadmill, trying not to look at the woman on the Stairmaster, no matter how curvaceous she was. Because you can't do that. They even have
No.
little like PSA announcements: "Do not stare at your fellow gym goers." And I always think to myself, I must be that guy. But
That's who that PSA is for.
it must be for me. They won't kick me out. They won't revoke my membership, but they will put a PSA up just for me. And I saw The Expanse. I saw all this great, these great stills, but I had no context. Okay, so Alberto is saying it is books. No,
It looks
Ron
like
Abbott's is saying it is books.
it was a book series that started in 2011 and it apparently has a book every year since 2011, including next year. There's currently a book for it, and the sci-fi series is coming out.
Oh Jesus!
All
right.
I
Yeah,
have been
speaking of
told.
butthurt.
I have been told that this is a decent show, despite the fact that it's being produced by sci-fi.
Okay, again,
so-
speaking of butthurt, Siffy, we live in a democracy, and we have a concept of justice instead of vengeance. But it hurts me at a deep and personal level that they changed it from sci-fi to Siffy, and no one has been found dead in a ditch.
That just speaks to the quality of the
Sharknado.
the quality of the service that you get from the assassins that were hired as a result of that particular change. They don't let you find the bodies.
Okay, I think we found the name I should switch to in YouTube. No longer am I Cali Thulu, I am now Emperor Palpatine. Thank you,
guess so.
Finlay. I appreciate that.
So I don't know. Somebody telling me there's a website you can go to where it's like, where can I watch? Like, you type in the name of a show, it'll tell you what services it's on. Right? That's got to exist.
Google?
No, because Google's going to show me the Wikipedia page. It's going to show me the actual website, Sci-Fi. It's not going to show me whether it's on Netflix or whether it's on Amazon. Like 6, maybe I'll find it down. I just want to,
Okay. I suspect because it's on Sci-Fi, Siffy, Liffy.
Where
Puffy,
can I
DVD
watch it?
Combs.
.wordpress.com. That's not
Okay,
it.
that's not it.
Where
I'm glad you gave the shout
to.watch.com.
out.
I knew there was a website that did this.
Okay. It's funny. It's interesting how we now have like questions in our domain names. Like, I found myself using one before you jump into this where to watch thing. Whataremymacros.com, and you go in there, you punch in height, weight, exercise, and it comes back with a great little thing. This is how much protein you should eat. This is how many carbs you should eat. This is how much fat you should eat. And then this is how many calories you want to eat if you're trying to cut at this rate or maintain or bulk. And it's all an estimate. Not that I'm saying anyone here should go to see whataremymacros.com, but I'm saying go check it out. Break the site, guys. Come on. There are dozens of you.
Literally dozens. It looks like
There are literally dozens.
you can
of
watch it on Amazon Video. Probably not the Prime service. Yeah, you gotta. Oh no! Hey, look. Well, the first episode is free, and that's all they have on here. Actually, damn it. You probably have to watch it on the actual Sci-Fi channel, or can you watch it on the actual Sci-Fi channel? I just wish they'd make this easy. Somebody needs to invent a program I can download that will just make everything one click and it pays the appropriate service for the appropriate thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's absurd
no.
that I have to search all over the internet when somebody says, "Hey, have you seen this show?"
because we're encountering the era now where we're seeing a change in delivery mechanism, and with the internet, with the whole point-to-point stuff, where you IPs and I can go here and get it, you've got finer control. So as a content producer, they can say, I don't want people to watch it unless they go through this barrier to entry or that barrier to entry. And then you have places like YouTube. Thank you, Arnir. It wasn't the gym. It was all me, I promise. Okay. But if like YouTube has shows on it. Like you can actually buy, and I've done it, Rick and Morty season 1 and 2. You can't get those on Amazon. Yeah. See, if you have not watched Rick and Morty, I don't care how you get it. Watch Rick and Morty.
I can't deal with the drooling guy. Why is there always a drooling guy?
Because he's one of the main characters. He's drunk. He's drunk off his ass continuously.
Yeah, but it's disgusting.
And I will
Close
say,
your mouth,
that's kind of the point. The first couple of episodes, it's a little over the top. It gets much better. There's this whole, I don't want to ruin anything, but there's this whole like Rick and Morty across the infinite number of universes repeating themselves that form a society. You really got to watch the goddamn show. It is fun.
It's pretty funny.
It is not, in my opinion, not as good as Futurama in its heyday. But I also think it's lacking the excellent writers that Futurama had. And I see that Joe's got more agrees with me here. He loves that show. I do like how Rick and Morty has a ton of Cthulhu references in it if you're paying attention. Other than just the opening bit where they're being chased by a Cthulhu monster. I never saw a drunk guy drooling before. NVIDIA, next time you're in California, come out with me for a night, all right?
Or hear us out. Don't.
I just want to be able, because if I can't easily and quickly find out where I can get access to said show, then it becomes the pirate pay. That becomes the easy and quick access. If that's the easiest and quickest I can get something, then you don't get money. So put your thing on a service that's easy to find and quick to use, and maybe you'll get money.
My usual go-to is just I just try to check their website first. Like Rick and Morty, you can watch every episode for free on just Adult Swim.
Yeah, and for some reason, I thought that that was the case for a while, and then it stopped being the case for like every show I would go to try to find it on like the CBS website or the NBC website, and I couldn't do it. And now it seems to be happening again.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that keep trying to do the like, oh, we're going to delay this by a month before people can watch it. Yeah, no, people are going to go pirate it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to make it easy and quick, people. It has to be, and it has to be cheap enough that it's like a non-thought. And that's when I'm just buying entire series in you get so much more. Valve has shown you how much more money you get when you make stuff cheaper, right?
But they have done a very good job of that. But then, okay, to give a comparison between, say, Amazon and Netflix or Google Play Store for movies, there's also Origin, right? EA's Origin, which, I mean, you feel like your own soul is being drained out the bottom of you when you use it, but it's a competing service that works. Then there's Good Old Games, which is an awesome service, but they have to wait till things fall out of like real public domain, but they get a few new ones. So, I mean, there is a definite trend now where these competing services that don't really interoperate very well with different levels of screw you to the consumer. Steam, for example, has a little bit of a screw you to the consumer because they've got some DRM.
Gotten better with the fact that you can get refunds for anything for any reason within 2 hours.
Which is fantastic.
Actually, that's the reason that I bought Helldivers is I see that there are people with control problems. I'm going to play this for an hour, and if it's too much of a problem, I'm just going to get a refund. And it wound up being so much fun that I ignored the control problems, and I kept it. So, but I knew going in that was an option, and that made me feel way better about making that purchase, basically.
And Origin, you can get a refund. Like I got the pre-order for Star Wars Galaxy, the most recent one, Star Wars Battlefront, revoked because I pre-ordered it and thought, okay, this looks awesome. I am a Star Wars fan, despite my Star Wars #1 fan, USS Enterprise shirt, just to get the goat of again people that work with me. And I've worn that just to watch their heads explode. It's fun, but the point is, I got the refund there as well, and but there's different levels, different services where you go. I tend to go to Steam first if it's not at Good Old Games, because Good Old Games has no DRM, which is awesome. So there you go. it will eventually consolidate to one delivery platform. And what that delivery platform is going to be is hopefully something we can all agree on and like, and most likely something we all hate equally in different measures.
And
so,
let me just say one more thing, okay?
Oh, God.
What the hell is with the pricing of buying seasons of TV on services like Apple and Amazon? They make pennies on the dollar when I watch that on the TV, but then they charge me $30 for a season. You can get the DVD for $11, you motherfuckers.
Yes, you can, and
God
then you can
damn
rip it.
Why can't I stream it for $10? If it's $10, I buy a season of Brooklyn 99 for $10 in a second. If it's $30, I give you the finger and I go to the Pirate Bay. All right, that's all that.
The same reason that Ticketmaster makes $15 when you print your own goddamn tickets.
Oh,
convenience! Convenience really will screw us all over. They literally are charging you because you can watch it.
But they're losing out on it when the Pirate Bay exists, and the Pirate Bay will always exist.
It will. It will always exist in some way, and if it doesn't exist, you go on to Tor and you get it all through this anonymized, bullshit.
Right.
But the point is, they can ignore that and pretend it doesn't exist or it doesn't hurt them, because you're not dealing with people that are smart enough to realize if they offer it at a good price, they will become the dominant platform. You're dealing with people who have MBAs, and I work with a lot of them, who don't understand that getting people to actually like you is important for a business.
Right.
Yes. So there you have it.
And you know what? There was actually a Reddit thread where somebody asked the question, how come Audible, this is the book audiobook platform from Amazon, how come Audible doesn't work on a similar setup to Netflix where you just get their entire library for free with a subscription? Why do you pay for a subscription and then have to pay for the books as get the credits or something? Why do you have to buy the books that way instead of just having a subscription service like Netflix and stream the books to you? And somebody responded like, well, that's because the publishers don't believe in that business model. They don't want to do that. And even though Audible has tried to switch to that, telling them that they'll make more money, they don't believe it, and they want people to buy individual books and not a subscription. Yeah. And it's just, it just blows my mind how people don't get this, especially because there are tried and true methods proving it without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Look how successful Netflix is. They give away giant catalog of tons of stuff, and they get also tons of people subscribing, which makes it all worthwhile. But that comes back to the whole thing of what these guys used to make per viewer and what they're trying to charge me as a viewer. Doesn't add up. It feels like getting screwed by the cable company.
Because it is, in a big way, getting screwed by the cable company.
That's actually exactly what's happening.
It's the gateway. The cable was the gateway. Now you got the people that cutting the cord. Cable's not the gateway anymore. I mean, okay, not to make this sound too much of an innuendo, but Cox can't screw you anymore.
Reference 5.
Time Warner. There you go. Time Warner and Cox cannot screw you anymore. Yes, I'm going to keep repeating that because someone's going to get it and comment on it eventually here in the chat. But the point is, when you move away from their TV service, you had to go somewhere else for entertainment. Or you just stop watching TV, which is unheard of in Western civilization. Let's be clear. You can't just stop. So instead, we have this kind of half-assed attempt where we just move the gateway downstream a bit, and now your cable company bitches about having to deliver bandwidth that you, the consumer, paid for in the first place. And at the other end of it, the content providers are bitching that they can't charge you $30 because no one's buying the goddamn thing. They go to this other place where bandwidth, again, being bitched about by your cable company for how dare you use cable that you paid for, is getting delivered regardless of the source. So you go to Pirate Bay, it's still going to cost them bandwidth. You go to Netflix, it still costs cable companies bandwidth, but the content providing gatekeepers will move downstream. And if we get to move one more spot downstream, you're going to be buying directly from Paramount or Fox or whoever.
You know what, though? There is one small victory in this whole thing. I did not know. Recently, somebody told me that Hulu changed their pricing to now have ad-free versions where you pay $10 a month and it's ad-free instead of paying money and then having to watch ads, which drove me away from the service completely.
is it $10 more a month?
No. I think they have 3 tiers. It's free, and then like $8 a month, and like $10 a month. The $8 a month is like with ads, but you also get to watch it on all those other things, which I hated that anyway. But if it's the same price as Netflix and it gives me another set of libraries of like more recent things, it might be worth it.
Gray, did someone just execute a child at your house?
The kid is throwing a tantrum right now.
Yeah. No, okay. So your son's 5 months?
6 months.
6 months. All right. And mine is. Oh well, happy birthday! You made it. You made it. Yeah,
you're made it this far.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good milestone. 6 months in, and no one's dead yet.
Yeah.
You're doing better. You're doing better than a lot of my family in Kentucky. No, I am kidding.
I was about to say, where was this going?
Yeah. But yeah, so my son's 2.5 months. My daughter is 4 years old. And I'm going to tell you, you as the father, you feel involved now. But here's the deal. You're not. Because you don't have that bond. But as soon as your son starts talking and then starts talking back, then you have that bond. He'll be your son at that point. Right now, you're just the bearded guy who gets in the way.
It's true. That he demands to be near something.
Yes. Yeah, no, you get that occasionally. I need daddy. I need daddy. I've had enough of daddy, and now it's mom. Yeah.
This went dark quick.
Tales from the baby bassinet. Or Tales from the Bassinet. There you go.
Yeah.
How many diapers has Bridger changed? Only his own, Joycey. Only his own.
It's what, 3-4 day?
Right in there, yes.
Yeah. How about no, Scott?
Actually, so back to cable and all the other bullshit we were talking about a second ago.
Getting screwed by the cable company and Cox?
Yes. The plus side of all of this is, and I'll be fair, and no one can quote this out of context, I love Cox. But, compared to Time Warner especially. But, all of that said, the thing is, if you ordered your service from Netflix and from Amazon Prime and from Hulu, you're still spending less than you did on the cable package that would have gotten you all of those shows 10 years ago. So the plus side is you're only spending half as much to be screwed by somebody. It's like the discount hooker.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. All right, anyway, we've gone on more than long enough for the post-show segment.
After that.
Oh, come on. You guys
Anyway. Have a good one, everybody. We're signing off. I might be back on to stream some Helldivers because it's an awful lot of fun, and I had a friend that wanted to play it, and my wife likes playing it too. So,
if I owned it, I would join in, but since I do not, I will just go have dinner.
Okay.
West Coast and all
so
that.
So if you're interested in watching that, it'll be on the YouTube on stream here. So gaming.youtube/Sound Strategy Network. I think will get you there. So...
And give him $1.
No! Don't piss off that one guy. All right. Have a good one, everybody.